Guys, I don't know if you saw this, but we've got a sad story to report here. We've got former Ohio State defensive back Marcus Williamson was charged with robbery and kidnapping following arrests in Memphis, Tennessee. Marcus Williamson, I thought he was actually underrated, at least his senior season, playing, in the slot cornerback position, but this is obviously very unfortunate. It says former Ohio State defensive back Marcus Williamson was arrested by the Memphis Police Department and charged with 2 counts of aggravated robbery, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, and 1 count of tampering with or fabricating evidence, according to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. According to the report, a woman told the Memphis Police Department an unknown man kidnapped her and took her wallet and phone. On August 18th, the victim told police the man, identified as Marcus Williamson, forced her to drive him to an ATM where he gave the victim her debit card back. Williamson then told the woman to withdraw $500 from the ATM, which she did. Williamson told the woman to get out of her vehicle and drove off. That is according to reports. So not a good situation, and this has really been a few situations with former Ohio State defensive backs. You've got the Damon Arnett mess. You've got Williamson now. So, I wouldn't consider this a culture issue or anything like that, but it is not a good situation. On a lighter note, we've got a proposed stadium for the Miami Hurricanes, and boy, do they need this. I think their boosters know it's such a letdown and such a massive takeaway when you're playing at an NFL stadium. I mean, look at Pittsburgh University. It's so bad. Miami, the boosters, the program, their number one goal should not be some crazy NIL collective. It should be funding this new stadium. You need to get your own stadium. You can't keep playing games at an NFL stadium. It is a horrible atmosphere. I like what they did with that NFL stadium. I think it's Hard Rock Stadium now with the Dolphins. It's a great vibe for Miami. But even then, still, even with them renovating it, it's still, way too big for the Hurricanes. And you can see this is the 60,000 seat proposed Miami Stadium. Initial thought is I like it. It looks small enough. It looks compact. It has a party vibe. It's right on the water, it looks like. And the big key to this, it's right near where the actual Miami University is. If you look at where their current home is, the Hard Rock Stadium, it is it's 32 minutes from Miami University, as opposed to this new place, which would be located in Tropical Park. It's a 7-minute drive. So all around, this is completely sensible. They just got to find a way to fund this. And again, I know Miami is in all of these collectives, the NIL stuff, things like that. If you want a successful team, getting a new stadium and developing your own atmosphere, your college atmosphere, being close to the campus. I don't think they can do it exactly on campus because there's not enough room. That tends to be the main issue with some of these universities. They just have no room on campus to actually build a stadium. But this has got to be, same thing for Pittsburgh. You got to find a way to, whether it's privately or whatever, through NIL, find a way to try and finance this stadium and get it built. Because not having a stadium, not having a real college stadium is such a disadvantage when you compare Miami to other teams, even in the ACC. It's such a disadvantage. And this is the proposed model. You can see and this is the proposed aerial view. I hope this is right. I hope this isn't because they have an MLS stadium they're building there in Miami as well. They've got I think this is the football stadium. You can see it's right next to that East Lake. So very, very nice there for Miami, and it would be so good if they were able to I think these are the only 2 renderings they've released. Otherwise, I would show you guys, and people have been talking about kind of clowning Miami, saying, you should make the stadium smaller. I think 60,000 is the perfect number. If you're Miami, you think you've got Mario Cristobal, you've got the NIL collectives, you're bringing in decently elite talent every year in recruiting, hopefully, with a new coach. You're building an infrastructure. And you live in Florida. It's a very talent-rich state. You're going to be able to keep some kids home. You hope that your program, minimum, is a top 25 program. So I think you build a stadium, you get even more life, more momentum into this overall football program. I think it's a really good idea. Miami does have a major non-conference road game this year at A&M. I'm guessing that's a home and home. That's like the first leg of a home and home with A&M, and it's just such a disadvantage when you're playing a home and home. You have to travel to A&M, to Kyle Field with that crowd, and then the next year, A&M comes to Hard Rock Stadium and gets a total NFL atmosphere. So it is terrible. Next, we do have the preseason All-American team. You guys can see first and second team players by school. So not surprising, Alabama with 6, although Eli Ricks made this list, and so did Gibbs, the transfer kid. A lot of this list, when I was looking at it, it was just crazy speculation. Like, it's almost like, if you're a former 5-star, we're going to put you on the list. Like some of these kids had next to nothing in terms of what they had proven in college, but they made the list simply because they were 5-stars. I don't hate it. I love 5-stars. I think 5-stars are so important to get on your, to recruit and things like that, but it was just funny. So they have 6 players. Ohio State has 5 players, including Paris Johnson Jr. making first team. He's never played left tackle. The only reason Paris Johnson Jr. made preseason AP first team All-American is because he's a former 5-star. He's literally only played guard in college, so it is funny. 4 players, that would be Notre Dame and Georgia. 3 players with USC, and then a bunch of teams with 2 players and 1 player. So there is that. Apparently, Nick Saban, and none of this matters, really, it doesn't, because Nick Saban can walk away whenever he wants. We've got Nick Saban receiving an 8-year, $93 million extension, and he eclipses Kirby Smart as the highest paid the highest paid coach in college player. I wonder who the highest paid player actually is in college football. I think it's a recruit. Guys, I think the highest paid student athlete, because NIL was introduced, is probably maybe Jaden Rashada at $9 million. Although that's a multi-year deal. It is. You don't get all the lump sum with how they do those deals. But no, Nick Saban signs an 8-year extension. How about Mel Tucker making the same as Ryan Day? I guess it doesn't matter, really. Brian Kelly is there as well. Brian Kelly. But Nick Saban signed for 8 more years. That would be crazy. The only question with Alabama at this point, when do we finally reach the end of the road? It's got to be, come on. It's got to be soon. Maybe if I had to actually guess and be completely serious about it, I would say Saban's got 5 years. That's what I would say right now if I had to guess. With where his age is at, obviously this is an 8-year contract extension. It doesn't matter. He can retire at any point. I just thought, it's funny. Kirby Smart signs the record deal, and Nick Saban immediately passes him with an 8-year extension. All right, so I thought this was funny. Sports Illustrated comes out yesterday with this headline: even Fox knows bringing back Urban Meyer is completely embarrassing. So if you guys don't know, Fox announced in just a total news dump last Friday afternoon at 3:34 was the exact time. It says, here's what Meyer got at 3:34. And Fox, in a very nondescript statement, announced their big noon kickoff team, which included Urban Meyer. I don't even think it specifically says that Urban Meyer, they don't even specify that Urban Meyer is in fact rehired. They just said he's going to be on the team because, listen, the situation with Urban Meyer last year, You know, there was so many issues, but it's so weird. It's like Fox is stuck between a rock and a hard place. People do genuinely enjoy Urban and his analysis. Like, genuinely, when he was, like, it's not like he's this crazy Ohio State homer. I'm sure he has some bias towards Ohio State, but I've heard from a lot of different college football fans. Personally, I don't watch those shows, but I have heard people say that they really like his perspective. Like, he's actually, like, really good at his job. I think they brought on Bob Stoops, and he was horrible last year when Urban went to Jacksonville, and now they're bringing Urban back, and it is such a horrible look with everything Urban did for Jacksonville, literally to get rehired just like that. And Fox is basically saying, listen, it's late summer. Let's release some crap statement that's so vague at 3:34 on a Friday afternoon, the biggest news dump possible, and hope everyone forgets about Urban Meyer in this past year and just rehire him because people genuinely did enjoy him. And Fox is obsessed with Big Noon, and now they get Urban Meyer back, and they're trying to compete with College Game Day. I'm sure that's even going to be ramped up more now, depending on what happens with, well, I mean, I guess we already know. ESPN has no Big Ten games starting in 2023 unless we get a West Wing. At that point, the Big Ten expanding. I think if the Big Ten expands, whether that's 2023, 2024, 2025, I think we get then ESPN possibly coming back and renegotiating a deal to take the late night window. But it is interesting. A lot of people kind of forget about this. College Game Day, which typically goes to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I think Ohio State has the most appearances on College Game Day. It's going to go away. They're just not going to go to any Big Ten games because they don't have any affiliation with Big Ten anymore in terms of airing their games, except non-conference games and bowl games. That's the only time. So I think, because like right now it is weird with College Game Day, how it works. Like if the Ohio State-Michigan game is on Fox, sometimes they will still go to that game. But I think that's only because they have some Big Ten, rights. That's going away in 2023, so I wonder if they're just not going to go to any Big Ten games, meaning College Game Day is not going to. That'll be really interesting to follow to see if they do. But guys, the situation with Urban Meyer, he is back on Big Noon, and they did a little news dump to try and cover it up because people were saying he's good at his job. He's good in terms of his perspective on the college game. But overall, obviously, with all of his infractions, for him to be hired literally the next season, literally right away, right after he gets fired, the next offseason, he's hired by Fox. And I thought that was funny that they released that when they did. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.